at supermarket prices.
11 alive.
Tuesday, August 23rd, a steroid drug scandal involving world-class athletes rocks the Pan American Games. A Brooklyn zookeeper is charged with killing a rare monkey. And we'll tell you about New Jersey's big, happy family, mom, dad, and 26 children.
Phew. And Steve, a dramatic rescue effort is unfolding right now in the Hudson River. President Reagan picked someone close to help him with the gender gap, and we'll take you to Bloomingdale's, where rolling in mud is considered high class.
In action sports, highlights of the Yanks and Mets, and the Giants finally decide on the tight ends.
A full sturgeon moon and a 10-best day are all part of our upcoming weather forecast. Details are straight ahead.
This is Channel 11's award-winning Action News with Pat Harper, Steve Bosch, Jerry Gerard, Bob Harris, and the Action News team.
Good evening. It's been called the biggest drug scandal in the history of international amateur athletics. The Pan American Games in Venezuela are being rocked by the use of steroids, drugs used to build muscles the easy way. Some athletes have been stripped of their medals, others have been reprimanded. And today, more than a dozen U.S. competitors walked out before this afternoon's event. Tim Malloy has the latest.
His name is Daniel Nunez. In the past week, the Cuban won 3 gold medals at the Pan American Games, only to have them taken away after tests showed anabolic steroids were in his bloodstream. As the prelude to the '84 Olympic Games, the Pan American Games give a strong reading on which athlete and which country will walk away with Olympic gold. The pullout today of 13 American athletes, the disqualification of 4 weightlifters, including American Jeff Michaels, shown here in a meet in preparation for the Pan Am Games, casts a pall over the competition and opens the way for broad criticism of the athletes and the coaches. It was a somber and reticent group of American athletes returning from Caracas today. Participants in the weightlifting competition dodged the crush of the press. Backs turned, they issued a stern no comment when asked about the prevalence of steroids in international competition. But William Simon, the president of the U.S. Olympic Committee, said a close look at drug abuse is long overdue.
Whatever the number is, it has to stop. And they have to be made aware of the fact that if indeed they're going to abuse the system and break the law, which is what they're doing, and take an unfair advantage over their competitors, then they should be stripped of their ability to compete.
The tests in Caracas and the disqualification of the athletes that follows represents the widest scale detection of drug abuse in the history of international competition. It represents, too, the athletic community's concern over the abuse of a performance-altering drug which can be deadly.
I've never seen any indication, any scientific evidence that it does work in men.
The value of steroids as a strength aid has long been in question. Dr. Donald Holub says that athletes take the synthetic male hormone thinking it will build muscle tissue.
Nobody's ever measured that they get more bulging muscles as a result of taking the medication.
And you may be given a pill form, or some steroids can even be injected.
The reprimand or ouster of 11 Pan American Games athletes, including Jeff Michaels, represents the largest drug-related expulsion in the history of international competition. As many as 100 drugs are banned, ranging from caffeine to antihistamines. The U.S. Olympic Committee will use the same advanced testing methods as were used in Caracas, tests which trace steroid use back an entire year. And gold medalist hurdler Edwin Moses today suggested as many as half of the American future Olympians are now taking steroids. The side effects of all this are temporary sterility, possibly liver cancer. The Olympic Committee vows a get-tough attitude from now on. Steve.
Thanks, Tim. A worker at Brooklyn's Prospect Park Zoo has been fired and arrested in the death of a rare monkey. 26-year-old Horace Canty is charged with cruelty to animals. Parks Commissioner Henry Stern says Canty allegedly sprayed a macaque monkey named Buddy with 180-degree water because it pulled his hair. That incident apparently took place about a month ago. Investigators are also trying to find out why it took 3 days to have a veterinarian treat the monkey, even though visitors to the zoo reported seeing it screaming, crying, and tearing its hair out.
The long-awaited evacuation plan for the area around Indian Point got its first test today. Eric Shawn reports on the dress rehearsal for disaster in Westchester County.
The time has started to run as of now, and we'll see where we go from this point on.
The idea behind the 4-hour drill was to find out if the county's emergency transportation plan, which federal authorities deemed deficient last year, would now work. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has threatened to close the Indian Point nuclear power plant unless the emergency evacuation plans were corrected. Estimates say about 30,000 Westchester residents who now live within 10 miles of the complex would have to rely on buses to evacuate.
Is there a guarantee that the buses will be there when they're supposed to be?
Well, I think the guarantee is that we have a plan and we're going to try and put it into operation.
We're confirming with you. Booths 2, 3, and 4 are vanguard.
Officials at the county's underground emergency center called 5 private bus lines, telling them to roll out 10 buses on randomly selected evacuation routes.
Now that the call has gone out to the buses, the question is, will they show up?
That's what the county executive waited to find out after he traveled 30 miles to a street corner in Peekskill, where he waited to pay a surprise visit when one of the buses arrived.
How you doing? Okay.
But some Peekskill residents and others have doubts that the bus plan would work.
There's no way, absolutely no way.
Would you take a bus?
No, I go home, hide in my basement.
After the test, officials said the only major problem was a traffic jam. But other than that, they called it a success.
We took a look here and now sort of at how we were doing, and I think from our standpoint we did rather well.
On Friday, federal authorities will officially say how they think today's drill went, but the testing here is not yet over. Tomorrow it's the turn of the county across the river, Rockland, to test their revised plan. Eric Shawn, Action News.
The Coast Guard and police divers are searching the Hudson River for 2 people missing that following a speedboat accident. The Coast Guard says the 16-foot boat apparently tried to scoot between a tugboat pulling a barge, but it hit the towing cable. 2 other people in the speedboat were rescued unharmed. The accident happened about a half-mile south of the George Washington Bridge at roughly 5:30 this evening. And we'll have more details on this story if they become available to us.
And when we come back, we'll tell you how Ronald Reagan's daughter is going to try and fill the gender gap.
Here's mud in your eye, says Bloomingdale's in a new beauty treatment, and the New Jersey parents who must have a world of patience. They have 26 children.
Susan's dog is alive today because his Heart's Flea and Tick collar helped save his life last night. The Heart's 2-in-1 Plus Nighttime Safety Reflecting Color, the first flea and tick killing color that reflects oncoming car headlights to help protect your pet at night. And that same Heart's color protects against fleas and ticks every day, round the clock for 5 months. Get your dog or cat the Heart's 2-in-1 Plus Nighttime Safety Reflecting Color. Now the famous Heart's Flea and Tick Killer can be a lifesaver too.
The Wall Street Journal is written for busy people. It doesn't waste your time with what you don't want to know. Make sure that you don't miss anything you have to know. Accurate, to the point, complete. The Wall Street Journal. It's all here.
Get all the business news you need when you need it. Get the Wall Street Journal delivered for 6 months for $47. Phone toll-free 800-453-6600. That's 6 months, $47, only 37 cents a day. Phone 800-453-6600 now.
A surprise press conference at Gracie Mansion. What's the best place to catch the story? 10-10 wins. All news, all the time.
The White House says there are some misconceptions among women about President Reagan. And so the Republican Party has appointed a woman to try to improve the president's image and close the gender gap. The new consultant is Maureen Reagan, the president's eldest daughter. And while that announcement was made in Washington, President Reagan was in Seattle looking for support from another block of voters, U.S. veterans. Mr. Reagan told a crowd of American Legionnaires that they, not anti-nuclear protesters, are the real peacemakers. The president said peace must be built on strength, and he compared the anti-nuke movement to British Prime Minister Chamberlain, who allowed Hitler to take over Czechoslovakia back in the 1930s.
With school starting in about 3 weeks, the city is kicking off its 4th annual drive to immunize all youngsters entering city schools. And while the little ones don't always welcome the shots they need, the immunization program has greatly cut down on the number of youngsters who come down with preventable diseases like measles, mumps, and polio. But if you have any doubts about the seriousness of this campaign, Mayor Koch has issued a warning to all parents of school-aged children.
The good reasons that we've given you don't get you to immunize your kid. and they should, just from the point of view of being a good parent and protecting your child, we're not going to let your kid into school.
There are 15 immunization clinics throughout the city where parents can just walk in with their children. Another 57 clinics require appointments, but all shots are absolutely free.
Pat, one New Jersey couple feels the good health and well-being of its children are first and foremost. Frank Casey reports on the remarkable story of Joanne and Rudolph Steptock and their family of 28.
This 3-story, 19-room house in Peapack, New Jersey is filled to the rafters with children, and it's not a summer camp. It's home for the Steptock family. Ma, Pa, and their 26 children. 23 are adopted.
Some are white and white, some are black and white, some are black and black, and some are Korean and white. And that's how they know, you know, that's the difference. But we're all Polish and Italian, because my husband is Polish and I'm Italian.
Joanne Steptock, a retired nurse, and her husband, the head of buildings and grounds for a nearby school district, are born-again Christians. They had 7 children of their own before they adopted their first 13 years ago, when the state asked them to take care of a 3-day-old baby temporarily.
It was Christmas Eve at the time, and I walked outside and I said, you know, Lord, do you want me to take this child in? And then it brought me back to the manger when he was looking for, Jesus was looking for a place to live. And right away I knew. I went back and I said, Joanne, I said, we're going to adopt this child. We're not just going to take her, we're going to adopt her. And from that day on, God just kept sending children.
This special family had a special visitor today. Governor Kane said he came to see this remarkable family for himself.
It's an example of perhaps what the world should be like. And it's refreshing to me just to spend some time here with them. There's a lot of love in this house.
When problems arise, unlike the old lady who lived in the shoe, the Steptocks say they know what to do. They call on God.
John, he was just in the hospital for 3 times this summer. And he doesn't have any arms and he has a short right leg. And he was so upset. He cried and he cried and he said, Mommy, why? Why don't I have any arms? How come God made me this way? And so I just said, John, God created you just the way you are. And he made you for a purpose. And he's going to give you all the grace you need to be who you're supposed to be.
Frank Casey, Action News.
Oh,
all Italian and Polish. Isn't
lovely story. Cable TV pirates beware. One New York cable company has declared war on you. Those details coming up.
Nurses, housewives, secretaries arrested in an alleged call girl ring. And Christy Witcher will take a look at a beauty treatment with explosive possibilities.
Esther, you did send that Federal Express, didn't you?
Oh, yes, Mr. Bogus, you're covered. Oh, Ed, you did send that Federal, didn't you?
Yes, Fred, we're covered. You sent that thing Federal, didn't you, Nick?
Yes, sir.
Good. I'm covered.
I'm covered.
I'm covered.
Hey, I'm covered.
Are you covered? I'm covered. I'm covered. Are you covered?
I'm covered. Are you covered?
I think we're all covered.
I'm covered if he's covered.
Cover yourself with Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
Remember, in New York City, Hotel Seville,
Your friendly home away from home. Our friendly home away from home.
I'm Richard Foreman, General Manager of the Seville Hotel. Advertising established the Seville Hotel as a major force in the New York market. Our agency for 10 years has been Continental Advertising. If you want results, contact Continental Advertising at 725-9600.
It's Fortunoff's White Sale. Our entire department is on sale with many first-quality comforters. All sizes at one low price. Imported European white goose down comforters. All sizes, $99.99. A huge assortment of extra-fill designer comforters. All sizes, $18.99. Your choice, lamb's wool or down and feather comforters. All sizes, $54.99. During our White Sale at Fortunoff, Wayne, New Jersey, Westbury, Long Island.
6 employees fled for their lives, and the Newark subway system had to be shut down for a while when a plastic factory caught on fire, burning chemicals and smoldering rolls of plastic sent the blaze to 4 alarms. But New Jersey environmental officials say no toxic fumes were emitted. The Newark subway was allowed closed to allow firefighters to stretch their hoses across some tracks. 1 employee had to be treated for smoke inhalation. The fire was declared under control shortly before 5 this morning. The cause has not been determined.
Video pirates may soon be walking the plank. Manhattan Cable Television, which provides cable TV service to 170,000 Manhattan residents, has filed a $400,000 suit against cable pirates. In its suit, Manhattan Cable names 30 New Yorkers and 3 area bars as having allegedly tapped into the firm's programs without paying the $11.75 monthly cost. Now, officials estimate that 5,000 New Yorkers steal Manhattan Cable service at a loss of $1 million a year to the company.
For many generations, Europeans have welcomed the chance to get down and dirty in mud, all in the name of beauty. And while special mud treatments are relatively new to our shores, Christy Whitaker found out lots of New Yorkers are lining up just for a chance to get mud on their face.
You might think, with all the commotion over anchorwoman Christine Kraft in her recent lawsuit, that any sensible female reporter would be trying to look her very best these days. But I'm confident my news director will understand this particular look is all part of a day's work. That's because mud treatments from the Terme de Montecatini, an international spa in Italy, have just come to the United States for the first time. And from the excitement of Bloomingdale's, you'd think New Yorkers had never seen mud before. Can I ask you why you're covering yourself in bits and pieces of mud?
Well, I didn't know it was going to happen, but I got so sold on it that I decided to see if it could indeed remove blackheads and/or stretch marks.
Did you just buy yourself a mud product here?
Well, it was given to me as a sample, and I'm going to try it, or try it on someone.
The products were formulated by Italy's Princess Marcella Borghese, a grandmother who, for half a decade, has taken a cure at the spa, drinking the mineral water and swathing on the volcanic mud.
The skin is instantly revitalized, refreshed, and tired lines are erased, all in about 10 minutes.
That seems to me what every beauty product I ever try says, and nothing ever happens. I look like the same tired old person.
Believe me, each product of Terme de Montecatini contains what is called the Aquavita complex, living water complex. That is the actual minerals found at Montecatini, and that is what Montecatini is famous for, the restorative powers.
Along with the mud treatments are 9 other restorative fluids for the body and face. Each item costs approximately $20. The degree of restoration, needless to say, may not be easy to measure. Perhaps just the idea of rejuvenation can make one feel better.
Well, no, she just put some cream on my hands, and they look different.
They do?
They do.
Some people just naturally seem to always have mud on their face. But if you're not one of them, now you have your very own chance to catch up. In Manhattan, Christy Whitaker, Channel 11 Action News. She is such a good sport.
Would you?
No. I'm not that good a sport.
All right. Well, there's a lot of good news on the inflation front. The best price for food in more than 7 months helped hold consumer prices to a modest 0.4% increase in July. The result of less expensive food and only moderately more expensive gasoline last month was to give the Consumer Price Index for the past 12 months its smallest growth in more than 17 months, 2.4%. The news was even better for the New York metropolitan area. July prices here rose just 0.2%. So over the past 12 months, that is, inflation in the city was just 4.3%, the lowest figure since 1976. And northeastern New Jersey kept pace with New York. The CPI there rose only 0.2%. The Labor Department says it now costs $28.91 to buy what $10 would buy in 1967. Wow.
Years ago, luxury cars began a tradition that persists to this day.
And what does this do?
Why, nothing. You see, it's a symbol.
Oh.
Thus was born the luxury car's preoccupation with prestige, a notion rejected by the BMW 733i. We place extraordinary engineering before self-congratulation. That's why our status symbol is under the hood, not on it.
You have 2 choices when it comes to investments. You can worry about them or you can enjoy them. I invested in Nuveen tax-free municipal bond funds. See, because they're funds, they're diversified for safety, and they pay high and stable interest that's totally free of federal, state, and city taxes. What I earn, I keep. Am I enjoying my Nuveen tax-free investments? I sure am.
For information on a Nuveen triple tax-free New York fund, call your broker or 800-228-3773.
Another city block of the Garment Center was hit by a 3-hour power failure this morning. Con Edison blames it on tripped circuits, but the utility says it doesn't know what caused that tripping. The block affected was 39th between 7th and 8th Avenues and was not part of the area hit by a 3-day blackout earlier this month. That power outage cost garment merchants millions of dollars in business.
The question is not who you're going to talk about tonight. It's always the Yankees. The question is, are you with them or against them?
Well, I'm with them, but I'm losing sleep. I mean, 14 innings last night. Must have been like 12:30 to 12:45 in the morning when the game finally ended, but to make it worse, they lost. In case you don't know the details, we'll be back with those in just a moment.
Participating advertiser in the sports report is Yonkers Raceway.
Goose Gossage walked a man to load the bases in the 9th inning with the Yankees ahead by a run. He walked the next man to force in the tying run, and that's how they went into extra innings. One other piece of strategy that backfired. In the bottom of the 14th with the Yankees down by 1, they put Campaneris in as a pinch runner for Butch Weiniger, and he was out at the plate on a ground ball single to right field. Campaneris is 40 years old. We got to realize that he can't do it anymore. When Pat and I go from our offices to the studio every night, we take a golf cart, and we're not ashamed of it. You slow down after a while. The Yankees scored their only 2 runs in the 2nd inning. There were 2 walks and then a ground ball to deep short by Smalley. Almond threw to Lansford, but he dropped the ball to load the bases. And then Randolph comes up, 2 out, base hit to left field. Yankees go ahead 2-0, but that was the last run they got. Oakland wins it 4-3, or I should say 3-2, and we'll have tonight's game at 8 o'clock right after Action News. The Mets got beat by a run last night despite 2 home runs by Darryl Strawberry. Even though they lost, some optimistic things happened besides the home runs. Look at this catch by Foster. He's playing great left field now as well as hitting the ball. Here is the second of Strawberry's homers, estimated 450 feet at least over the second fence. Rupert Jones, however, homered off Swan. That turned out to be the winning run. In the 9th inning, Mets got a chance. Strawberry hit a pop-up to third. Salazar calls for it, but he doesn't have it. Nobody does. With the tying run on, Hodges strikes out. San Diego wins it. They try again tonight. In Chicago this afternoon, the Reds beat the Cubs 4-2. Pittsburgh in the first of 2 leads Houston 2-1 in the 5th. And the Giants football team has finally done it. They have cut Gary Shirk, who's been a journeyman tight end for a long time. But he's a 100-yard marathoner, so they were missing a lot of speed there. What does this mean? Mulledy will probably start, but you're also going to see a lot of Zeke Mowat from Florida State, a tight end who can block with crushing intensity. That's it in sports. Here's Steve.
Thank you, Jerry. Now, time for tonight's drawing in the New York State Lottery. Let's go live to Albany and Flanzina Hazlett.
Thank you, Stephen. Good evening. For the New York State Lottery, it's the daily numbers drawing and win for today, Tuesday, August 23rd, 1983. In each of these 7 machines, there are 10 balls, numbers 0 through 9. They've been mixing under the observation of an independent auditor from Deloitte Haskins & Sells. And now for tonight's number, the first ball out is 8. The next number is 5. And the next number is 6. That makes the winning daily number 856. Yesterday's win for will pay out over $166,000, which represents more than 80% of yesterday's sales. And now for win 4, the first number up is 8. The next number is 4. The next number is 9. And the last number for win 4 tonight is 0. That makes win 4 for today 8490. Congratulations to all you winners.
Thursday, August 25th is the date to remember. That's when you get this 7-function sports watch free at Yonkers Raceway. It shows the date, month, seconds, minutes, hours. It's even a stopwatch. Excitement's the watchword at Yonkers every race. And with a watch on hand, you'll know it's time for action wherever you are, inside or trackside. Hey, it keeps great time. It's my horse that's slow. Come to today's Yonkers for a night that's fun and a watch that's free.
How shiny can Mr. Clean leave your no-wax floor? So shiny you might think it's wet. Oh, it's dry.
That's right.
Mr. Clean cleans clear to the shine so it doesn't look dull when it's dry. Mr. Clean cuts through dirt and brings out the shine, so it doesn't look dull when it's dry. Mr. Clean, for a clean so shiny you might think it's wet.
It's dry.
Look for great values on Mr. Clean, now in the fall cleaning display at your store.
This is the number that takes you places you might never go, shows you things you might never see, brings you face to face with beauty. This is the number that brings you Smithsonian Magazine. This is the number that shows you the lives we led, the lives we lead, the life around us. This is the number that brings you Smithsonian Magazine. Call this toll-free number for your year's subscription to Smithsonian. 12 monthly issues for $17. What's more, you'll automatically become an associate member of the Smithsonian Institution, eligible for travel benefits and book and gift discounts. Nature, art, science, history, our whole world. There's no other magazine like Smithsonian.
This is the number that brings you 12 monthly issues of Smithsonian Magazine for only $17. 800-228-3600. That's 800-228-3600. Phone now toll-free. A whole world is waiting for you.
In what could be called a high-class version of the infamous Nevada bordello, the Chicken Ranch, San Francisco police have busted up a call girl ring that included housewives, nurses, and secretaries. After a 2-year investigation, Bay City Vice Squad detectives have arrested 49-year-old Janice Chatterton for operating a multi-million-dollar prostitution ring. Chatterton, a former prostitute herself, says her arrest is out-and-out sex discrimination. She allegedly ran her high-class house of prostitution for 3 years under the guise of an escort service. Now, police say the illegal business was so organized it even used credit card machines and 4 operators just to handle the telephone calls. And customers were charged up to $160 an hour. So there.
That's kind of difficult to go from that to weather.
Not at all.
Dry, beautiful day.
We're just going to move right along. Marvelous day, great weather tomorrow.
That's what we're going to ask for the number.
As we speak, the moon is rising in the eastern horizon. We have a beautiful full moon tonight. Everybody check it out because it'll be quite a sight.
A salmon moon, right?
No, a sturgeon moon.
Oh, well,
that's
fishy
all right.
anyway.
Close, that's right. Clear skies in New York right now. The temperature 81 degrees. Look at the humidity, down to 38%. Winds are north at 14 miles an hour. The barometer steady. The pollen count quite high at 31, so it's irritating, and that's why you were sneezing. Skies are nice and clear. Look at the satellite picture with me. A few thunderstorms to our south today, but they're moving down across the Carolinas now, and nice clear skies coming up. Take a look at the full moon. This is just a preview of what you're going to see up in that sky tonight. A beautiful sturgeon moon, followed by a pretty day tomorrow. How'd you like to do a little sailing, huh? Got the day off? Head for it, huh? Just go and do it, because we're expecting a lovely day, one of the 10 best of the year. High pressure moving down through New England will control our weather for the next 36 to 48 hours. Comfortable temperatures, low humidity, and pristine blue skies tomorrow. That's why I'm going for one of the 10 best. The showers in the Midwest may come our way by late Thursday and early Friday. They, too, will move on out and leave us what I think will be a nice weekend. Here's a forecast now for the rest of tonight. Yes, indeed. Clear skies, cool and calm, too. The low 58 to 66 degrees by morning. Tomorrow, one of the 10 best of the year. 19, 20, who cares? Blue skies, warm and dry, the high 80 to 85. Our sunburn index tomorrow, all the way up to 9, just about as high as it gets. The recreational forecast, northeast winds at 8 to 15 knots, wave heights at 1 to 2 feet, visibility excellent, the air quality good, and then on Thursday, clouding up, some showers late, highs in the 80s, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, easy sunshine, more humid, warmer, but we'll take it. It'll be beach weather, highs 85 to 90. Don't forget to check out that moon tonight. Steve?
All right, Robert, thank you. That's our 7:30 Action News. I'm Steve Bosch.
I'm Pat Harper. We'll be back after the Yankee game with Independent Network News. Until then, have a really nice evening.
WPIX operates a news bureau in New Jersey at 223 Montross Avenue, Rutherford, New Jersey. The telephone number is area code 201-933-6881.
The Yanks battle the Seattle Mariners next.
I was on the road with 3 more sales calls to make. And it sure was a bad time for my muffler to go out. My old muffler was from Midas. So I found a Midas shop in the next town and showed them my guarantee. I'm in kind of a hurry. They honored it with no hassle and got the job done fast. When you count on your car like I do, It's great to be able to count on Midas.
Trust the Midas touch.
I wonder what Great-Granddad would say about this clear squeeze bottle for our great-tasting Gulden's mustard. He'd like it. Makes it clear when you need more Gulden's.
11's Alive with Fantasy Island, coming this fall on WPIX.
Fantasy Island, watch for it on 11 Alive.
Are to be